So I'm going to walk through my notebook on artist public perception. The overall goal is to analyze public perception of six artists across three media sources, Reddit, Twitter, and the news, using sentiment analysis plus a RAG pipeline for question answering. So first, I set up the environment in Colab by installing the core packages, Face for vector search, Sentence Transformers for embeddings and re-ranking, Google Generative AI for Gemini, and Deep Eval for evaluation. I also set up the Kaggle API so I can download datasets directly into Colab, and I created three folders to keep the data organized, one for each dataset. So for pre-processing and aggregation, I downloaded three datasets from Kaggle, a Reddit sentiment dataset, Sentiment 140 for Twitter, and a news category dataset. Then I standardized all of these into a single shared schema with things like source, ID, date, title, text, and sentiment fields. For Twitter, I had to map the data's numeric labels into negative, positive, neutral, and for Reddit, I normalized its label format to use the same three classes. The news dataset didn't come with sentiment, so I had to mark that as unknown initially. To filter for my target artists, I defined an artist alias dictionary, like Taylor Swift plus any potential aliases such as Swiftie, and I compile those into a regex pattern that can be used for data parsing. Then for every row, I compute artist match, set has artist, and define primary artist as the first match. This outputs two data frames, all-df and artist-df, which has all the data, and then artist-df has the rows mentioning at least one of my artists in their text. Next, I run a sentiment model across all artist-related rows using Twitter Roberta base sentiment latest. This function scores sentiment transformer all sources, batches the text through the model, and produces three key outputs: the predicted label, a score capturing both sentiment and strength of sentiment, as well as a confidence value. It also stores all per class probabilities. So this method is important because it fills in the news article sentiment and also creates a single comparable sentiment signal across all Reddit, Twitter, and news. So after that, I generated various visualizations. So for this first one, I had it split up by source, so then each of the artists gets it per source, and the positive, negative, and neutral analysis of that source for that artist. And then for the second one, I just split it up a little differently, so I had it per artist, and then each artist had three different sources. Lastly, I produced a heat map that shows the percentage of positive sentiment by artist of source, which is a quick way to spot cross-platform differences. So this last section is the RAG pipeline. I built RAG text using the fields optimized for retrieval, and I embedded every RAG text using the sentence transformers model, normalize the embeddings, and sort them in a face inner product index. So when a question is asked, retrieve evidence embeds the question, searches phase for candidates, then applies optional filters like artist, source, and sentiment. Then I re-rank the evidence using a cross-encoder, which allows the pipeline to be much better at choosing the best evidence. I package the top evidence into a citation format and then build a prompt that forces the LLM to only use that evidence, including citations, and quote the phrase in quotes directly from the evidence. For generation, I call Gemini 2.5 Flash using an API key, and the run RAG query method here returns the answer, the evidence data frame, and the exact prompt that was given to the LLM. Finally, I evaluate with deep eval using three metrics: answer relevancy, faithfulness, and contextual relevancy. I pass the retrieve evidence as the retrieval context, use Gemini as the model, and report whether each metric passes a threshold, along with reasoning. Here at the bottom, I ran a few test prompts. And for each of these, it outputs the answer using the LLM and RAG, and also the evaluation, so whether it passed each of the three metrics and its score.